Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Insightful Moment. My name is Jare, Tiamiyu. Today we'll be looking at the budget processes and how citizens, somebody like me, can nominate one or two projects that will be of benefit to my community. And where are we in the implementation of 2021 budget? Because before we start at the 2022 budget preparation, those are the things we are going to be discussing, and our attentions will be focused on Osun State, where we will be speaking with the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Planning, Budget and Development, Professor Olalekan Yinusa. Professor will be telling us what his ministry has done and how citizens and residents of the state can participate in the budget preparation towards the 2022 appropriation year. This is Insightful Moment. My name is Jare Tiamiyu. Welcome back. I'm here with the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Planning, Budget and Development, Professor Olalekan Yinusa. Professor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Professor, let's look at it from this perspective. Before we go into 2022 budget, can we talk about the 2021 budget? Where are we now in the implementation process? We could remember that last year we had more than 90% implementation at 2020 budget, despite the COVID-19, which was actually applauded across the country as, no, this is very good. We are now in the month of August. We are done with 2/3 of the whole year. Where are we now in the implementation process of 2021 budget?
Like we have rightly observed, the budget performance for 2020 was 95%. And this year, in the first quarter, we have done 74% budget performance. And the second quarter of the year, the budget performance in Osun has grown up to 77%. So we believe by this third quarter of the year, when we'll be able to fire very well on some of our other cylinders, especially in the area of capital expenditure, we'll be able to see more, the budget performance going up significantly. I think that's where we are. That's where we are now, 77% for the year 2021 budget implementation performance.
Oh, that's a very good one. Let's now go into the budget processes of 2022 budget. You've started the processes right now.
Yes.
So what are the activities that you have carried out? And before we go into what next and how the community can go in, where are we now in the preparation?
Thank you so much. The reforms that we are driving in the state of Osun is such a comprehensive one, and basically to ensure transparency and accountability, and to ensure that there is inclusiveness in bringing everybody to be part of the budget process. Naturally, we start the budget preparation process by looking at the medium-term expenditure framework. That's where we start from, in terms of determining what are the macroeconomic assumptions that are going to be the basis upon which the budget is going to be prepared. So most of the time we leverage on the World Economic Outlook published by the IMF, which the first one will come out in April of the year. And now the April one serves as the baseline for the year, and a lot of forecasts will come. What will be the growth rate for the economy, inflation rate, etc., will be assumed. So since that particular time, since April, when the first World Economic Outlook of the IMF came out, we started the process. Essentially, we are now updating to ensure that the parameters and the indicators we are using are in line with the current realities around us. So we have prepared the medium-term expenditure framework, and to also ensure that we have a policy plan budget linkage. We commenced the process of also preparing the medium-term sector strategies, which are the basis where projects and programs will be identified to be included in the budget at the end of the day. So that one also commenced around May. We have been on that, but now we are closing on that because we have We have all the basic things, that we needed to do. We have completed all those ones in terms of the personnel budget, the overhead budget. Now that we have finalized the medium-term expenditure framework, we have sent out the circular, of course, for all the agencies of government to commence the budget preparation process, after which we are harvesting materials now from all agencies of government for them to bring in their budget as prepared. And I can tell you now that in addition to all those agencies of government working, we have gone around all the 3 senatorial districts in Osun. I've been to Osun Central. We used the this year. Last year we used Ikirun. The year before we used Osogbo. So in Osun East, we were in Ilesha about 3 years ago. Last year we were in Ife, and this year again we were also in Oriade local government. That is very close to Ijebu-Jesha area. And in Osun West, we were in Iwo 2 years ago. Last year we were in Ede. This year we were in Ikire. Basically what we do is to go to the people and let them know, how much or what proportion of what they have requested for that we have been able to capture in the budget and has been delivered. We tell them the stories around, show them projects and programs in their areas, in their communities that they have requested for and which Mr. Governor had delivered on. And we also let them know that we want to also capture their new requests in terms of if their priorities has changed regarding what they told us last year and what they want done again this year. Don't forget that even from the beginning, what we have been doing is that we have a comprehensive state development plan, which is the basic building block around which developmental efforts in Osun are arranged. And because the long-term plan cannot be implemented on its own, we have to also develop sector strategies, which we have in 13 sectors, and we have all those ones too. We have the education sector, health, etc., agriculture and food security. All those ones are there. Now, we have completed the engagement, the citizens' engagement now as part of this inclusiveness process. So the next phase is for us to now have the budget bilateral, where all the agencies of government, ministry departments and agencies of government now appear before the budget committee of the state, which this ministry is the secretariat. The budget committee of the state comprises of the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget as the secretariat. We have the Ministry of Finance as member, Ministry of Human Resources and Capacity Building, the Office of Accountant General, the Public Procurement Agency, Debt Management Office, etc., etc. These are the Internal Revenue Service. These are the agencies of government that constitute the budget committee of the state. So each of the agencies of government will now appear before that budget committee of the state to defend both their expenditure and their revenue proposals, which they are going to make. We'll be able to interact and be able to determine what should be the revenue that each of these agencies of government will generate. And after that is done, we consolidate all these budgets coming from various agencies of government together in a single document, which becomes the document that will be presented to the State Executive Council for approval. After the approval of the State Executive Council, then the budget is now ready to be sent to the House of Assembly as an executive bill, from the executive. So Mr. Governor will sign the letter addressed to the Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Assembly for legislation to law. And the House of Assembly, after receiving this particular executive bill on executive appropriation bill, the House of Assembly also have their own processes of doing this, passing anything to law, because budget is a law. They will interrogate, they will interact, they will engage all the agencies of government again on an elaborate basis. You have to come and explain everything. And as we are closing all those interactions with all the agencies of government, the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget and the Budget Committee of the state, essentially, we have to now appear again before the Honorable House, where they will now be able to explain in details the macroeconomic assumptions behind the budget for the whole world to know, and the House of Assembly to now use as a basis for interrogating, what they are going to. And once the House of Assembly passes this into law, then it will now be ready for Mr. Governor's assent. And as a rule, now the budget is expected to be signed into law before the end of this year, before the end of every year. Okay. So that is the process.
So the budget is expected to be signed into law before the end of the year. Yes. And then the House of Assembly has processes that they also, undergo before they can say, we are done, we have passed this budget. When exactly are you looking towards sending the budget to the State Assembly this year?
The timetable we have set for ourselves is that we want the budget to go to the House of Assembly latest by the end of September.
Okay. And
that will give the House of Assembly enough time to be able to also do due diligence, on the budget, interact with all agencies of government, ask questions, and for every agency of government to be able to also explain, the content of the budget to the House of Assembly. That's the way it is done.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, sir, let's go on a very short break. When we are back, I will ask, as a citizen, if I have a project that I think will be beneficial to my community, how can I communicate that to your ministry? We'll go on a very short break now. When we are back, we'll continue the discussion. Thank you.
I was built to be the best.
Day by day, governance is becoming more meaningful in Osun as dividends of democracy are delivered to the people's doorsteps. Governor Isiaka Adegboyega Oyetola has continued to put smiles on the faces of old and young. Active civil servants now receive new minimum wage, while pensioners also smile to bank at end of every month. Artisans and market women now praise the governor. Osun is now witnessing a holistic development in education, healthcare, economy, agriculture, and tourism. Osun is now the choice location for businesses for both local and international investors. The state under Oyetola is giving priorities to people's needs, despite the paucity of funds, as projects are commissioned at intervals. Boyega is working, Osun is progressing.
Yeah, I come back from that commercial break. My guest is still here, and that is Honorable Commissioner for Economic Planning, Budget and Development, Professor Olalekan Yinusa. Professor, thank you for staying with us.
Thank you for having me.
Sir, now, as a citizen of Osun State, I will have a project that I think will be beneficial to my environment, where I live or where I work. How can I, communicate that to your ministry so that you can work on that?
Yeah, thank you so much. We actually created a platform for that, because initially what we did was to engage in a citizens' needs assessment, which was elaborate in collaboration with, DFID, UK DFID, and it was facilitated in all the 30+1 local governments in Osun, where we went into a town hall meeting with representatives of the various groups and associations, community leaders, religious leaders, citizens groups, NGOs, and all the likes. Essentially, it was a platform for us to be able to suggest projects and programs that we want government to implement. We did that. We have the report of that with us. Again, Mr. Governor embarked on a thank you tour, even from the beginning of immediately he was voted into office as the governor, and he announced ideas from the people. He requested from the people that they should write in a memorandum what they expect from the new administration at that particular time. We tagged that one thank you tour report, which was also sent to our ministry. All these reports were consolidated into a single report, and we have them prepared in such a way that we could drill down to even a particular community what is being requested for. We have these reports of list of projects and programs, local government by local government. And all these are put together and form the basis of project and programs identification. So from this pool and the citizens engagement that we conduct every year, we update this record regularly. But if an individual now that was not part of all those still wants to have his own input into the budget process, they can write to our ministry, either physical letter or through email address, which we often use. So when you send this to us, in a memorandum form, we can pick it and go and include it in the database that we have if it's not already there. Or if it's there, we'll just reinforce it that another person is also requested for that project, which makes it stronger. And this is how projects can be communicated to us anytime, any day.
I think that is a very good one because, as citizens, emergency things happened, like we had the flood in some part of the state last week. So I believe that is a very good information. And then the email will be there. You check the screen, will display the email and how you can get across. So, sir, let's now, before we hand up this conversation, I would like us to, talk specifically on some cases, on some issues. Recently, earlier this year, after the state ESCO meeting, the Commissioner for Information came out and announced that the state ESCO approved 22 roads that will be constructed this year. But we realized that we are in a rainy season now, and then maybe by November and by December. And according to you, next year budget implementation starts by January 1st. Yes. Are these projects captured in this year's budget, or you are going to extend them to next year's budget?
Now, this year, let me start by saying that the kind of budget that we implement now, we have shifted away from this routine annual year budget. We now implement a multi-year budget framework, in which case projects that cannot be completed within a single fiscal budget cycle, can be accommodated without any problem. The essence of this is to avoid a situation whereby you have abandoned projects. So in Osun, you cannot have abandoned project because we implement a multi-year budget framework. Now, for the project that has been approved this year, they are within this year's budget. That's why we have it. However, as you know, this is the peak of rainy season, and we know that by this we used to have August break. The August break, there will be some period that rain will not fall at all. Contractors, on roads and all the like, we have some time to prepare, their land, the work. Do some preliminary works. They can be doing hydraulics and all the likes at this particular time. But immediately the rain stops, then they will be able to fast track their work. So naturally, if there is any of those projects that they have not started, I want to assure you that they will be started and they will be delivered to time. Most of the projects that we have started, you will see that there is none of our project that is dragging. Even the Olalekan flyover, you will see, if you get there, you will see that every day you get there, you see new things, being added to it. And that is the spirit of, Oyetola's administration. Governor Oyetola is committed to ensuring that Osun is transformed completely into a state that everybody will love to stay, everybody will love to work in, and everybody will love to to stay in also. Because Osun used to be a very, very strategic state in this region. It's the regional hub, for commerce in those days. But now, I want to also assure you that all this infrastructure that the governor is working on are basically to restore all those things back, so that coming to Osun, either to live, trade, or work will not be difficult, and that the productivity of other factors of production will be enhanced as a result of all those improved, facilities. So I want to assure you that those projects will be delivered by the grace of God.
before we round up this conversation, what you have been saying, talk about money here, because whatever budget you are talking about money, and there has been some investment by this administration into some sectors that were, moribund before, according to people, like the what do they call it? The ATM that was the product of the 2019 Economic Summit. We have the ATM, they call it Agriculture, Tourism and Mining. That was the major discussion then. So let's talk about this. The tourism aspect of it. Is it actually yielding the results?
Yeah, those sectors, they have been there. But in terms of contributing value to the economy of Osun, it is emerging. I would say that. Emerging in the sense that, quite a number of these, tourism sites and all the likes, they have been there. But maybe in terms of bringing money to the state is the issue. And that is why we have been talking about commercializing some of these tourist sites that God endowed us with. If you get to the Osun Osogbo, which is around the corner now, you will observe that millions of people come from all over the world to come and witness this. But in terms of direct revenue to government, that may not be anything that you can look at for now. But what you see is that in terms of the economic, multiplier effect of that festival, all the millions of people that are coming to the States will buy food. Some of them will sleep. Some of them will buy, souvenirs from our states. And that means that whatever they have brought into the States, they drop the money in the economy of Osun. So indirectly, the Osun people are benefiting from that. And that is the role of government, actually. Government is to create an enabling environment for businesses to strive. So, in terms of direct benefit to government, maybe it may not be so significant, but in terms of attracting resources into the economy of Osun so that our people, business people, traders, all of them will be able to benefit, yes, it's yielding results. And it's not just Osun Osogbo, there are so many other festivals like that. Periodically I know that if you go to Olumiri Waterfall, people come in there, anytime, weekends, from all over the country. So all these are there. But what we are saying, and you also recollect that recently the governor approved that people should be wearing adire on Thursdays now. Naturally everybody will put on adire. If you go to all the people selling adire for now, they will report to you that naturally their sales has actually increased. All these are things that government is doing. But in terms of money coming to government now, money is not coming to government. But people that are trading in adire and some other things, they are already, reaping some of the positive benefits of that policy pronouncement of Mr. Governor.
Honorable Commissioner, I have two questions to go. The first one is the revenue. How are you generating? The IGR has actually increased how it was before the advent of this government, and also the healthcare. You could remember that you are the chairman of that program. Where are we now? Have people been applying, or where exactly are we?
Naturally, the revenue of the state has increased, and that one can be verified from you can check online because they publish all those things regularly, and so there is no doubt in the fact that revenue has increased, but revenue that we have has not got to where it should be, because we have a lot to do, and largely even the little revenue that the government is making in terms of IGR and all the likes, you just realize that even the effort that that has to go into it is more than the ordinary. And that's why we appeal to people, even during the consultative forum meetings that we had, we appeal to people that we have a very great role, a very big role to play in the area of ensuring that we are able to generate revenue. Indeed, if there is no revenue, you cannot implement projects and programs. There is no way you can implement projects if revenue is not coming in. So naturally, you want to believe that people should voluntarily pay their taxes as at when due, without even anybody having to pursue them around. And we know that this state is blessed But what we discover is that the attitude of the people must change, towards what they can do for government. Is the other way around. People think about expenditure. We want this, we want roads. Federation account is pottery at this particular time. Don't forget that even last year, the revenue from Federation account was almost negative, because if Nigeria cannot sell its oil, there is no place where revenue will come. That's the only source of revenue that is coming from, major source of revenue that is coming from Federation account. So these are things that, that's why we appeal to people that they should try as much as possible. We have appealed to our market leaders, we have appealed to industrialists, we have appealed to, people that are into one business or the other, that they can contribute to the development of Osun by actually paying their taxes as at when due. I think this is very, very strategic, and we need to also go on here to enlighten people more. I know that the Internal Revenue Service is doing a lot in that particular respect, in terms of engaging the people, letting them know, what government is doing. And in fact, Mr. Governor, discussed in a meeting somewhere that, look, if there is a particular community that has a project, or a particular local government that has a project that is so critical, and they want the government to commit to the fact that if they can raise the money in their local government, through taxes that they're supposed to pay, that he is prepared to spend whatever is generated in their community to fund that particular project. And that is to say that, government needs the people, they need the support of the people in terms of revenue generation, to make government to be able to do more on what government is doing. You could see the number of road projects that the government is constructing. You just mentioned about 22. That's one phase of the road construction project that has been approved. There are other ones that have been approved and delivered. So if we want more, then we need to also support government, support the governor in this particular effort of ensuring that we are able to make our state a livable place.
So let's now talk about the NCARES.
Yeah, for Nigeria Cares, yes, I'm the chairman of the steering committee, but we have delivery platforms. For us in Osun, we are using 2 delivery platforms. We have the FADAMA for the agricultural related projects, and we have the CSDA, that's Community and Social Development Agency, championing the delivery of other ones in the area of micro projects across the state. We have some other projects in the area of cash transfer, deliverable, DLIs in the area of cash transfer, which is also handled by another agency of government. Ministry of Agriculture is in the area of FADAMA. The CSDA is supervised by Ministry of Rural Community Development, while the one in the area of cash transfer is handled by the Ministry of Youth, working with Public Welfare Office. So the Ministry of Youth is in charge. So all those ones are there. They are the delivery platforms. For us, it's just coordination. We don't implement any project, but we coordinate and ensure that all the delivery platforms are able to do their work and deliver to time and to specification. That's what we do. So in terms of the various projects that we are doing, I must also remind you that the project is programmed for results. So it's not a matter of government, somebody giving you money before you go and do. No, you will deliver and you just show result. It is result that you show that will qualify you for whatever support that will come from the Nigeria Cares. So we tag our own Osun Cares, and I must say that this particular project is a project that was designed principally for the purpose of fast-tracking economic recovery of Nigeria. If you look at the name of the Osun Cares, is Osun COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Recovery
Action Stimulus and Economic
Recovery Program. So that program is basically to stimulate economic recovery. The area, the ones that concerns agriculture, is basically to ensure that there is no disconnect between the production of food and food items and the demand for it, in which case there is no break in the chain of production, of agricultural produce, which is basically for food. So we expect all those ones to be on, and they have been on. In the last 2 weeks, the governor distributed farm inputs to farmers in Osun. Last week, the governor distributed some cash crops to farmers, cocoa, running to hundreds of thousands or millions of cocoa seedlings that were given to farmers who are going to, and a lot of other efforts in the agri sector towards the delivery and support for farmers. So it's not something that you will say this project has started since middle of last year. That's when the planning process started, and all the activities that government has been able to deliver, from that time till now, are going to be counted as part of what can be showcased as results at the end of the day. So the cocoa that has been given out, the part of the results that has been given out, all the agricultural inputs in terms of materials, materials for chemicals and all the likes given to all the farmers too. They are also part of efforts as supporting the farmers for more productivity in the agri sector. So these are things that will be aggregated at the end of the day for the benefit of the people for sure.
Okay. Honorable Commissioner, thank you for your time. We appreciate that. Honorable Professor Olalekan Yinusa, the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Planning, Budget and Development in the state of Osun. On that note, I want to say, join me on the other side. Was Professor Olalekan Yinusa, the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Planning, Budget and Development in the state of Osun, in Osun State, whatever you call it. And he was able to tell us that this is where they are in the project, in the budget preparation towards the 2020 appropriation year. And he told us how citizens can also contribute to this. If you think that as a resident of an area, you think there is a project that will be of benefit to your community, why can't you just nominate it using that mail? I believe that it is going to be attended to. And when you do that, you can also send a mail to us at Inside Multilinks Media, so that we also fast track, we also do our best to ensure that such project is nominated and then is put inside the budget of 2022. That is how far we can go into this edition. Thank you for being part of it. Some other time when I come your way again to discuss some other very important matter, I want to say happy birthday to our editor, Bamidele. We celebrate you. The man that has been behind all our videos for more than a year now. He has been so fantastic, and we'll continue to celebrate him. That's how far we can go. So another time when I come your way, my name is Jare Tiamiyu. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.